Hello, my name is Paul Rang. I am a VFX content creator at Foundry, and today I'll be guiding you through the basics of Mari's layer system and node graph. This tutorial is specifically tailored for artists that are transitioning from a more 2D layer style of texturing software, or anyone looking to understand the benefits of Mari's node graph system. Once you have created a project in Mari and imported the geometry, you will receive your project in the node graph form, but also in the layer system. The layer system is hidden. You can't see all these inputs, but you can access the different channels here, and then by clicking on them, you can start changing them in the Layers tab. Whereas with the node graph, we can literally see every single step. Using the layer system can be useful when working on a small project, but as soon as you start working on a very detailed or more complex asset, especially for film or TV, the node graph is more powerful. Unlike the node graph, sharing your work through multiple different artists in the layer system is hard. Having loads of hidden inputs and not being able to clearly see what's going on in someone else's project is a huge disadvantage. This is one of the reasons why many VFX software have transitioned from a layer-based approach to the node graph. For example, compositing used to be layer-based, and then this was changed to a node graph approach, and it's the same with shading and look dev, where it used to be layers as well, and then switched to the node graph. First, I'm going to show you the older method with the layer system and how to use it, and then we're going to learn how to use the newer node graph system. So how do you work in the layer system? So layers stack on top of each other, adding different bits and pieces to your texture. Your asset is divided into different channels as well. You've got the base color, the bump, the roughness, and the specular. For example, the bump is used to add volume or depth to your textures, and roughness and specular channels to control the light reflections and how shiny the object is. You can also add extra channels if you want to control other aspects of your object. To do this, right-click and select Channel Presets, then add any channel you need. For example, I could add metallic to my object to create metal surfaces. Now that I have all the channels I need, I'm just going to go back to my base color and explore the different buttons available in the layer panel. So to create a new layer, you can press this button and then paint on the model, and you can see once you turn that it's baked the paint onto it, or you can press B on your keyboard. If you're creating small details, this can be quite useful. You can also create other types of layers or effects by pressing Tab on your keyboard and searching through this long list of different options. Like this color layer, for example, to add a general color all over the model. Here I could choose a blue and then press OK. Then we can also add masks and then paint in black to mask different areas of your texture. There are also mask stacks. This is used to add many more layers to control your mask. If you click the icon in the layer, a new window appears with its contents. Ever since we started adding layers and modifications into the layer system, these are being reproduced in the node graph, which means that if you want to switch to the node graph at a later stage, you can. One thing to be wary of is that if you do decide to switch, you'll have to reorganize it as the nodes will be disorganized. You also have other buttons such as adjustment layers and stacks, which enable you to control the brightness, contrast, and gamma, and much more. You have procedural layers like cloud or tile to create more complex patterns, and you can also search for them by pressing Tab. You can also group certain nodes together. You can add masks or mask stacks or even adjustment layers to them as well. You can switch to the node graph with this button. It will give you a node graph to play with for that specific layer. You also have options to duplicate layers, remove them, or add multi-channel layers and more. With this button, you can add color icons to your layers to quickly recognize which layer is which. Now let's switch gears to the node graph. This is where Mari really stands out, especially for complex projects. In the node graph, you're working with a network of nodes instead of stacked layers. Each node represents different elements or effects, and you connect them together. This might be a bit intimidating at first, but trust me, in the long term, it's a game changer. Like in the layer nodes, you create nodes by pressing Tab in the node graph and then searching for the nodes you want to use. In the node graph, you can find everything through the tab menu or with shortcuts. You don't have this tab here with all the buttons like in the layer system. If you want to create a layer, the equivalent in the node graph would be a paint node. To create a mask, you would just create another paint node and feed it into a mask input in a merge node. In the node graph, it's really easy to reuse effects or layers from other places, as you can just drag and drop from different inputs and outputs. The node graph encourages you to reuse elements from other places, making your project faster and more efficient. In the node graph, you also have access to materials, which you can enter by pressing Ctrl and Enter. Here you can see all the different channels conveniently displayed, so there's no need to search for them in the Channels tab. There are many benefits to using the node graph which aren't available in the layer system, unless of course you use the node graph extension button in the Layers tab. One of these major benefits is breakpoints. This powerful feature in the node graph acts like pre-comps, like in compositing, which allows you to write out certain parts of your project so Mari doesn't have to recompute them constantly. This is especially useful for heavy parts of your project that you know you won't need to modify for a while. You can attach a normal breakpoint or a multi-channel breakpoint for materials with multiple inputs, and this helps keep your projects fast and light. It is similar to caching your layers in Mari in the layer stack, but more flexible and non-destructive. In the node graph, it's also a lot easier to share and reuse elements. This also keeps things consistent across projects and teams. You can create reusable material setups or smart materials and save it in your shelf for later use. They group different nodes together which can then be reused throughout projects. You can also display key node properties externally, allowing you to control all the essential properties without entering the groups. Organization is also an advantage with the node graph. You can add backdrops, change colors, and separate sections by materials or functions. You can also use teleport nodes in the node graph, which enable you to broadcast different parts of your project to various areas using teleport broadcasters. This allows you to reuse them by adding teleport receivers. Once you've created a few teleport broadcasters, you'll have a library to choose from, each broadcasting different sections of your project, such as scratches, dust, and other details. To sum it up, we've covered the basics of Mari's layer system, moved over to the node graph and checked out its key benefits. The node graph gives you more flexibility, control, and efficiency, making it the go-to for complex texturing in top VFX studios. Thanks for joining me on this tutorial. I hope you give Mari's node graph system a try. For more information, check out learn.foundry.com/Mari.